was so excited for the GPU because it looked so big and futuristic, and it was the main component that I needed to upgrade from my old computer. So I decided to unbox this first. I was surprised by how heavy it was compared to my old GTX 1060. And next is the motherboard. Out of all the PC components, I always think this one looks the most interesting. Then the Ryzen 9 5900X CPU. I'm always surprised by how small these things are and how much they actually do. I also got a Samsung 1TB SSD. The Samsung SSD I had in my previous PC was much bigger than this and looked more like a disc. I had never touched it again after my old PC was built back in the days, so I didn't know there were also very small ones like this. Then this is the power supply. I wanted to go for a black and white build and first planned to get a white power supply, but in the end we decided to go for the black version instead to create a better contrast and balance between the black and white colors inside my PC. Then there are of course the cables and the other extra parts. The new 2021 version just arrived when I built my PC, so I got super lucky with that. So here I'm unboxing the water cooler. I didn't want to get a custom water cooling system because I think it was a step ahead of what I needed and wanted, and it just would be too much effort for me. So I got this Corsair AIO water cooler instead as a good in-between solution. And here again we have all the cables, instructions, and the extra things that come with the box. This is the Corsair RGB fan. I really wanted to make sure I had enough cooling for my PC and enough RGB lights because I love RGB. And then the case. This box was quite heavy and almost bigger than me, which isn't that hard to accomplish. I'm pretty short, so I struggled a bit, as you can see, trying to open this box and trying to get the case out, but I got some help. And of course, I'm always in for a joke. I really love this case. It looks sleek, but it also looks pretty cool with the kind of crosses at the front. I struggled with this box, so I required some help from my assistant. I'm super excited and I can't wait to start. I got a bit of help from the others, showing me where every part goes and what its function is, which was super interesting and helpful. They made me start with what they called the trickiest part first, because if I drop the CPU, it can be bent and damaged super easily. So starting with this gave me some shaky and sweaty hands, but I managed to do it just fine. After that, I'm placing the RAM. You need to push quite hard, which is a bit scary at first, especially when it's your first time building a PC. You don't really know how far you can go and how much strength you can use before you damage things. So once the first one clicked, it was pretty easy to just push in the second one and know how far. After the RAM, I placed the storage, and this you just click into one side and then tighten the other side with a screw. This will then be covered up and tightened as well. So now the tricky part is over basically, and I will move on to the water cooler and first check how it has to be positioned to fit the case nicely, and then I attach this part of the water cooler that goes on top of the CPU and tighten it up with the screws. I'm ultra focused. Once the water cooler is partially attached, I checked how I want to position the fans and screw them. There are the tiniest of the tiniest arrows on the fans that show in what direction the airflow will go. It was quite interesting to learn about this. I also didn't know that PC parts have all these indications on them, which is pretty nice for someone who is not that experienced with PC building yet, but you do need some good eyes to see them though. I already felt like a large part of the PC building is just tightening screws. It is pretty satisfying to do, in my opinion. Moving on to the second fan. Now I put the motherboard in the right position of the case. It pretty much fell right into place and sort of clicked. And then I tightened it up with the screws. Good thing my hands got less shaky by now and I slowly felt more confident doing this. Now it's time to attach the power cord and pull it through the hole of the case. I also put the water cooler in place and made sure that it was in the best looking position and tightened it up with the screws, and it's slowly coming together now. The back is still a mess full of cables though. I already placed the front of the case because I don't really need to do anything there anymore. I could just click this in and tighten the screws by hand. Then I placed the other fan that goes in the back of the case, and yeah, you can guess I tightened this with screws. Now I'm placing this SSD in the case and tightening it up. This is my old SSD that I wanted to keep because it's still pretty good. assistant is explaining how and where I need to plug all the power cables to hide them as best as possible. We also checked if my graphics card would actually fit the case. This was, of course, measured beforehand, but it all looked so cramped up that my assistant was worried for a second, and my heart actually skipped a beat for a moment here because I was almost scared that it wouldn't fit. But good thing they were messing around with me a bit and it would all be fine. I've let my amazing assistant do the worst part for me, which is the cable management. This case is a bit of a tricky case when it comes to cable management because the amount of space that you have for it is quite limited. But I think that he did a great job in hiding as well as possible with this case. I honestly wouldn't be able to do a better job, I think. Now it's time for the most exciting part, the GPU. But first, some very satisfying plastic removals. I love removing plastic from new products so much. The other people around here had to laugh a bit because I really wanted to take my moment and enjoy pulling off these plastics. Good thing the cameraman agreed with me and took some great shots. There's also a plastic on this part of the water cooler and on my power supply. I'm placing the power supply in the case now. It kind of clicks into the right position, and after that I can just screw it in place. Now I'm removing the metal PCI slot covers to make place for where the graphics card will go. And then the exciting part, putting the GPU in place. It was so heavy and I was so scared to break it or that it would bend because of the weight or that it wouldn't fit my case at all, but it went pretty smoothly. There's not an enormous amount of space left, but it fits. Good thing I'm not planning to go for even bigger GPUs anytime soon. Now I'm using some tie wraps to hold the cables together and to make them sit tightly and flat against the case, so that it will be easier to close the case later on. I then plug the cable in the GPU. We decided to make the cable of the GPU go above it on the top side instead of under, so that it kind of helps support the weight of the GPU in some kind of way, because I was scared that it was gonna bend. And this is the final result of the back and the cable management. Looks pretty good, if I may say. And here's the result from the other side. I gotta finish it off by removing the plastic of the glass, of course. And we're basically done with building. Just closing off the case, and then it's time to test the PC. This was a bit tricky because there were a lot of cables that poked out a little bit because of the little space to hide them, but it all fit well in the end. And now the moment of truth. Does my computer start? And there we go. I must has just been built or after some parts have been replaced. The lights make my heart beat a little faster. So now the PC will run some performance tests and Windows and some other necessary software will be installed. And ta-da! My PC is done. As soon as I got home, I made sure that the lights would shift between only some blue and purple tints. And I'm super happy with the result, and the PC runs so smoothly. And this was such a fun experience. So big thanks for everyone who helped with this video and who showed me how to place all the